Hey guys, welcome back to Arm Crossfire with SB and Gabi. We're going to talk a little bit today. We're going to do our WAL recap, and we got some Q&A coming up. But one of the main things we've got to talk about quickly, hitting that bell down in the corner. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're not missing anything as we post it. We've also got our Patreon site set up, and maybe we can start adding some content to that once we see some people jump on board with the support there. And for the Q&A guys, just a reminder right off the bat here, please send those questions to canadiangangsters@gmail.com, or at very least inbox us through the page at Arm Crossfire on Facebook. Otherwise, if it's just in the comments, it's tough to keep track, and we don't want anyone's questions to get missed. So right off the bat, Chris, what are your thoughts on the show as a whole, without getting into the stuff that we really want to talk about as the episodes or as the matches are broken down one at a time? Overall, what did you think of the show?
I didn't get to watch the full show. I watched matches and segments. Most of the matches I wanted to see, I saw in their entirety. It looked like a typical WAL card. You had the intros, you had everything, you had the people in the crowd. I mean, from that point, the production value is quite strong. It seemed like a good card. No Devin, no Michael Todd. Probably wasn't one of their more glamorous cards, but and of course the feedback today compared to the last card is a little bit less, only because we didn't have the prestigious matchups.
I enjoyed the card as a whole. I got to tell you that my predictions, I completely got it wrong. Well, not all of them. I got one right that was pretty important because it made me a little bit of money, right, Chris?
Yeah, Jerry over time.
Yeah, but the rest of them, man, I was out to lunch on the predictions. Yeah. And you know what? It is what it is. I had a pretty good run, but this one kind of went south on me. So right off, let's talk match number one, Danny Tesch, Quinlan, Mendez.
Yeah. Good on Danny Tesch. I mean, looked very, very strong defensively, kept his hand, went straight hook. I think Quinlan saw an elbow foul that wasn't there. I didn't see much of an elbow foul. He claimed it was an elbow foul. It seemed like the first match he controlled him quite well, couldn't finish him. But my take was that Danny looked more composed, a little bit more patient. And considering it was his first time at WAL on a huge, huge stage, give him credit for that. He deserved the win. Not saying Quinlan unraveled, but Quinlan's a beast too. But it just looked like Danny was a little bit more composed. And strength-wise, probably Quinlan wasn't too far off him. Danny a little bit more composed and a little bit more patient.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed, Bowen basically laid it out. Like Danny Tesch, if he stops you anywhere, he's going to win the match. And I'm starting to maybe be a believer in that. But the guy came in and this was not across the whole card. When new guys came in, they struggled under the WAL setups. Danny Tesch seemed to just be extremely patient, established position instead of going for the pin. Quinlan looked good early on, but when the surge didn't pin Danny Tesch, he seemed to get in trouble. And Quinlan, there was the one match that he finally lost on fouls right at the end. And the first foul that was called, I didn't see that one, but I definitely saw the one where they called the final foul and awarded the win.
Okay.
Because it was way off the back. The first one's questionable. Definitely the last one, when Bart reviewed it, it was a good 3 inches off the back of that pad. And Quinlan hung in there, but man, Danny Tesch looks tough. Now to call out RVJ or someone like that is ludicrous at this point.
See, here's the problem. Good win on Quinlan, but Quinlan's not, he's not at the top of the hill. And then, Quinlan's a slow, very strong, tons of stamina, grinding type puller, and that fed right into Tesch. RVJ would roll him. RVJ would do a lot of things. A lot of the top 198 guys would be able to do more things with Tesch, against Tesch, than Quinlan did. So, I mean, yes, he looked good, but, before we start I'm sure Bowen had a lot to write up about that and glamorize the hell out of it. I can't see it because he blocked me, but it's a win. It's not just like Bowen's win on Allen. It's a win. Doesn't mean much right now for me. It doesn't mean much. You beat up on an Omega. Good job. Gets your foot in the door. But Tesch has too many. It looks like he has too many potential points that can be capitalized with a guy like Rob, or even some of the tougher, more 200-pound guys. But we'll see. I even say Justin might even take his hand. But like Quinlan's not a top roller. He couldn't really take advantage of Tesch's weakness. Went right into Tesch's strength. So good win. I'm more impressed with his ability to stay composed, being albeit that's his first time on a wall table or on that type of platform. So good on him.
Yeah, I became a little bit. I did enjoy the match. I thought it was a good start to the show, and I thought that Danny Tesch deserves some credit for coming in and staying that composed and doing his thing. I'm looking forward to seeing who he pulls next. I think this was a smart match to make. I don't know if they're necessarily trying to build a guy. They didn't give him an easy one. Like, Quinlan's not a pushover.
No.
And the odds are overwhelmingly, I think, against Danny Tesch. If I'm being honest, I think the odds were I picked Quinlan to win it. But most of that is us largely not knowing anything about Danny.
And it's all us North Americans siding with the guy that pulls with his heart, right? Quinlan. We tend to gravitate towards our continental counterpart, our continental friend that pulls hard. So I think we all wanted Quinlan to win, albeit we're probably a little bit biased. And we didn't have Tesch has too small of a sample size. But yeah, and although I want to mention, although it was an undercard, the Corey West Paul Passmore match, man, I had Corey winning that. Paul just keeps surprising. I find Paul is on this steady incline, and he's like eclipsing his previous performance every tournament. That guy in maybe a year can be like mega. His progression is crazy. You
know what? That's right. We should have started with that prelim match. We had Corey, and Corey came out of the gate and pinned him once, which was awesome. And Passmore stayed composed, adjusted, and took the match. And man, it was impressive. It was a good match. Yeah. Corey, to his credit, like if you look at the first match they had together as a super match, Passmore played with him like he dusted him. Like it was It was dominant, and the fact that Corey can come in and make that a good match now shows progress on his part. And I think both of those guys are on an upward trajectory. I was cheering for Corey. We've been chatting with him a little bit, and but man, Passmore is good. He's good. You can't deny it. He's calling for a contract. He's not calling out an arm wrestler. He's calling out the WAL. So
he looks awesome.
And I think he's got a good future in there too.
Have you pulled either of them?
I have not pulled either one of those guys. Okay. If I have, like, there's been some guys I've arm wrestled in some of the prelim matches at WL tournaments that I honestly don't remember. And it's I don't recall pulling either one of those. I know I haven't pulled Corey. I know I haven't. He's still relatively new, but the guy is massive and powerful, and I think with some experience, he's going to be somebody to watch too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Next match?
Tatianne Faria.
Yeah.
Victoria Karlsson. That's another one that I got wrong.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to claim ignorance on this one. I couldn't see anything. I didn't see anything. Even this morning, I tried to look. I couldn't find anything on that. It's the only match I didn't see. So I'll have to go.
It was all Victoria. She contained Tatianne and just it was a pretty dominant performance from a person that had she had a losing record against. So
wow,
it was amazing. And Victoria came in looking jacked. Like she looked like super athletic and muscular and ready to go. And it was intense. It was 3-0. There's not much more you can say about that match. Like it was not. It was a fun match to watch. not super technical, no real adjustments made throughout to try to change the outcome. And the first match looked a lot like the third match.
Was Karlsson much heavier, much bigger? Did she go in heavier?
She looked bigger, but I don't recall what they said the weights were.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. Well, good for her.
All right, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the one that you want to talk about the most. Match number 3, Adam Wilmot versus Geoff Hale.
Yeah, I don't really, to be honest here, and I don't like to be honest with this one because I like Wilmot a lot. I was pulling for him to win or even make it a good match, which optically it seemed like he did. And I love the guy. He pulls with his heart. Everything he does is open and leaves himself vulnerable, but it makes him also very endearing. He was up 2-0 on the third match, and it looked like on the first 2 matches, Geoff wasn't really setting up to hook. He was setting up kind of casually. Adam got what he wanted. On the third match, Geoff sunk in, and and this is what did it for me. With the setup, I was leaning towards it staged and acting, of course. And that third match, he pinned him. Once he got into the hook on his attacking side, he pinned him with ease. And then fast forward a match or 2 later, all of a sudden, Adam's open, which is not a good position for Adam. He's not a bicep puller. Geoff is tight, and Geoff can't pin him. Like, Geoff's struggling to pin him. So that, for me, is 100% stage acting and staging. And I think probably WAL or Kaplan told Geoff that if to not make it a bloodbath. And I hate saying that because it kind of discredits Adam. And I could be dead wrong. It's just my read on it, and I have to be open and honest with it. We've seen Geoff hook Sam Harris. I don't buy any of that. For me, it was acting.
I popped huge when Geoff lost that first match. Like, I thought Adam was. I didn't think that it was a fixed match. I didn't think it was acting.
No.
Or not a fix, but acting, like playing it up a little bit, right? No fix, and definitely one guy would have to be strong enough to hold the other guy, because I don't know if. Anyway, I thought that the first match, Wilmot controlled the setup, and you're right, maybe Geoff I think he was maybe overconfident and then got on a roll. But the look of, in between rounds, with a look on Geoff's face when that seemed like it was slipping away from him, man, if the guy's acting, he's amazing. But match number 3 comes along, and Wilmot has the adrenaline dump, and I know a lot of people were saying that it was acting. I can't agree with that. I think it was
legit.
I think it was legit. We can agree to disagree on that one.
Oh, yeah.
In the finals, Geoff, you're right. When Geoff was so dominant in a hook, and then all of a sudden he's stretched out and he's still holding on, maybe towards the end, Geoff knew he was going to take the match and went a little bit easier. But, man, I think he made a great show of it. I think there's going to be a lot of Adam Wilmot fans all of a sudden.
Well, that's my point. They wanted a show. By no means did they want Hale to slap Adam to the pad 3 times straight. No one wins with that. So I think whether it was Geoff on his own or the powers that be navigating that way, I just think that there was make it look good, acting, staging. I don't know, but all I know is there was some sandbagging or whatever you want to call it, because just optically it did not look good to me.
So now we've got title implications here, because we have Sam Harris, and we haven't seen a ton of matches that would say, hey, this is the next guy to go against them for the hammer. Like, they want to defend all those hammers on the final show of the season. Who goes against Sam Harris?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be Tony Katowski?
I don't know. It could be.
I don't believe Geoff's the number one. He may be the number one. I don't know what the leaderboard looks like, but I have Tony as the number 1 lightweight, and Sam Harris is the number 2. Geoff comes in at 3, but that's what, in my mind, that's who I have. But Tony Katowski, being much bigger than both of them, is, if he's on and he's motivated and primed, he cannot be beat at 165. Maybe in North America. It's a big guy who can get down low, has many tools, tons of horsepower, more hook than Geoff, and more hand, or can negate Sam's hand. So I think that's a nightmare for both of them.
Well, that's whether the ordeal we're in right now. Who do you send up there? Because what are the compelling matches? I mean, I know Sam is the hammer holder, but Tony could come in and just clean that up.
Yeah, I think they have to put a Tony versus Sam, and if they don't, like, you got to question. Sometimes Sometimes they get the matchups right. Sometimes I question why they're avoiding certain matchups. Maybe they're just waiting to if there's a time where there's a lull in viewership or anything like that, they can put like a RVJ versus Todd Hutchins, or now they can put a Sam Harris versus a Tony. Some huge massive matchup that can draw in a big viewing on a card that might not have that much depth. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. I try to get into their head sometimes and wonder where they're coming from, but that I don't know.
Well, the one thing they didn't do last night was they didn't announce any matches.
No.
They showed a graphic of the 3 hammer holders standing there, and that's all they did. They did not allude to anyone other than saying that Jerry might be the guy if he wins his match, but they didn't give us a definite answer on that yet either. Yeah. I'm going to assume that it's going to be Jerry, but anyway.
Yeah, I think they're scared of certain matchups and they want to avoid it at all costs. And there's some pullers that are not on the top of the ladder that make for more entertaining brand of arm wrestling, only because of matchups. They have more suitable matchups. Tony doesn't really have a good matchup. Quinlan could have a dozen matchups. Mike Solaris can have a ton. There's a lot of guys you could have multiple options for matchups. The top guys, RVJ, you're limited. Tony Katowski, you're limited. We say Sam, but I think he beats Sam easy, and I think they know that. I think they're scared or trying to avoid certain matchups for as long as they can avoid it. I don't know.
Well, you stick Tony in that and give him the hammer, and all of a sudden maybe he holds it for a number of years.
If he doesn't want to get rid of it or eventually get bored and go up to the next weight class, no one's taking it from him. Unless they start with a left-handed class, and I don't know, but for right-handed, I don't see
about that later.
Yeah.
Then we got Hermes Gasparini, Matt Mask. I got this prediction wrong too, completely wrong. I thought, match number 1. I'll talk this one a little bit through first.
Yes, sir.
Match number 1, we had the first 2 matches were not even matches. They were whoever got the setup and started moving before the go pinned the guy without any resistance. So Hermes Gasparini pins Matt Mask, and he makes it looks like easy, but Matt didn't get powered up, didn't hit, and then we have a situation where we're down 1-0. There's a little bit of showmanship there. Hermes kind of barks back at him and kind of walks towards him a little bit like he's gonna punch him in the face, which I thought was awesome. But he's definitely not scared of anything up there at that table. Second match, Matt comes up, is way more aggressive in the setup because he knows he has to be. And it was the same thing, like a flash pin, no power up from Gasparini. And the next 2 matches looked much the same. The fourth and final match, I will say that it slowed down a little bit, and Matt did completely take away Gasparini's hand and wrist. He flopped his wrist back over and pinned him. They can't all be super entertaining. I didn't think the actual arm wrestling component of this match was compelling or entertaining to me at all. But that's when you got a guy that's not used to the WAL setup or rules, and he comes in there clearly with a comfort level that's not quite where it needs to be. That's what you get. And I want to bring up the fact that there was I hate talking about practice table matches, but there was a video posted after that of Gasparini and Matt just powering up, and Matt couldn't do much of anything with him. Not that matters, because we've all been in that position where someone pulls out a camera or a phone and starts filming something on the practice table, and Matt might have had 50 matches before that too. But I don't know what the future would hold. Matt's coming off a couple of wins now against guys that maybe we're unsure about. And I don't know what the future would hold for Matt Mask. There has to be, there should be a big heavyweight match in there somewhere. I don't know if they're going to stick him into the final. He is super popular, so they might. And I know Matt, he'll say yes. But I don't know what the future would hold. And I certainly don't know if Gasparini is getting another call immediately. I mean, there's guys that are one and done even if they win. So your thoughts?
First of all, regarding your wager or your prediction, nothing sucks more than going against your buddy because you're trying to be objective and then losing.
That's right.
But it's okay. It also means you can be objective and non-biased. For me, that was a clusterfuck of setups and there's the way the ref does, the way the WAL refs and the tables and everything. So much of the outcome is controlled by what happens in the setup. Every time, not every time, but I would say 90% of all WAL matches that I see, as a ref, I would stop something in the setup. A knuckle going too high. And what happens is refs usually concentrate on the false start on the hand, but a lot of times there's a body surge on the don't move leading up to the hit. Travis was notorious for this. You see Mask, a lot of tall top rollers tend to do this. I see infractions all over the place. And, it can skew the result. I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Gasparini just didn't look as aggressive. Sometimes even if you're not getting what you want, you have to be super aggressive. I don't think he countered with much aggression. I had Hermes winning it. But I mean, that was a Ferrari versus a Ferrari. So much of that has to do with how quick they can get off the line. So it could have been 3-0 either way. It could have been 3-2 one way, and I wouldn't have been shocked. One thing about Mask is everything about WAL suits his game. He is the most horrifying, most terrifying puller to pull when he gets everything he wants. And he might be the most, in terms of elite pullers, the most utterly useless puller when he does not get what he wants. It's almost take the match. Kind of like a poor man's Travis. A little bit less crafty up there, more of a tornado, less of a science project. But I just find no bicep, no side pressure on the defensive side of the table. And like you said, I saw that video you were referring to where he was totally controlled even after he was initiating in the strap versus Gasparini. Who knows the variables leading up to that? But for me, that's indicative of a Mask where if he does not get what he wants with the speed, not only the hand, but he needs the hit behind it, he does not have a high success rate versus elite pullers. But a win's a win, and he's kind of hard to match up to now because he can't deal with Todd Hutchins' power. He can't deal with Jerry would kill him. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you got to see. Well, because no matches with Matt will be grinding matches. It's either he's going to get smoked because the other guy stopped him and is more powerful, or he's just going to flash pin the other guy. The exception might be Devin, only because Devin's move right now, Devin doesn't have that attacking stand-up pressure, so that could be an ugly, grinding, long match with Mask on the attacking side and Devin with his forehead halfway under the table. Don't know. Don't want to see it, but that might be the only one that could be conceivably a grinding type match. So again, matching up Mask going forward is tough. Where do you put him? But that was my thoughts on that match. Not surprised either way. I was kind of hoping Gasparini would win only because I'd like to see more of him. I think he's an unknown in our part of the world. I think he's phenomenal, and I think we need to see more of him. But because he took that loss, I don't know if we will. I hope we do. I hope we will. But that remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how they work it out with the guys that are coming from distances like that with the WAL contracts or waivers or whatever the guys come in on. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll see him again. I would like to see him against someone that is like, why are they bringing in? Like, Matt Mask is considered probably one of the better guys on the roster for that weight class, even though he's now up at heavyweight or super heavyweight. Bringing in a guy like that, putting him against Mask, seems to be unfair. Mm-hmm. Bringing in Sylvain, putting him against Mask, seems to be unfair.
Yeah.
Bringing in Krasimir, sticking him against Chafee. Like, are we fodder for the building up the guys, or are we people they're considering putting this some push behind.
No. They're like puppeteers up there, and they give gimme matches to certain pullers that get a lot. Mask is very popular. Devin's super popular. They're most popular guys, regardless of how long or how they can hold a hammer or even get to it. I find they give a lot of, and they're not about who has the hammer. They're all about viewing and about popularity and getting their bigger stars out there as often as possible. But that's why kind of like boxing in the 90s. You'd see top boxers get gimme matches. So I think sometimes we see that it's unfair. But then again, sometimes these are the reasons these guys are getting opportunities, right? So is someone going to say, no, I'm not going to take that match because I don't love it? I mean,
well, they can say that, and then they end up not getting called ever again.
they get
That's
blackballed.
what's going to happen.
I mean, they can call me. Do you want to pull Ryan Espy? And I'm like, I think that's a terrible matchup for him. No, I'm just kidding. But of course, but I would do it. I don't give a fuck. I would go in the ring with Tyson. I would arm wrestle anyone, just to arm wrestle and money and exposure. I don't give a shit about losing, but it would make for a terrible matchup. But I mean, so that's my point. When they ask someone, do you mind pulling? They say, I just want it. I think the response from most people is, I just want to get on the card. Give me anyone.